Mini grants really need to be around a need. Let's say you've got a bunch of drinking or kids not wearing seat belts. That's a need. How are you going to address that need? Are you going to have a stop as you come into the driveway, and if they've got their seat belt on, they get a prize. If they don't, they get a sucker for being a sucker for not wearing your seat belt. Is there a need in your building for kids not fighting? How are you going to address that need? What things can you do to address?
Elementary school that designed activity kits because what they wanted to promote was that developmental assets of families working and playing together. And so it included a video, it included some juice, it included some popcorn, and some sports equipment like a soccer ball or something like that. And the kids had a drawing each day as to which kid got it for the week. They brought it home with a little note to the parents and then had the parents fill out an evaluation of what was the benefits of them. Oh, it had a game as well of participating together in a family activity. And the kids were very invested in it. They've done it several years now, and the parents have given some real positive feedback. So that I thought was interesting was the alcohol traffic safety. In our area, frequently people don't apply for those. And there's the obvious ones for in high school with kids drinking and driving. But this was elementary students who had an issue of driving home when they were babysitting with the person who might have been drinking. And they felt uncomfortable with it, they didn't know how to address it, they didn't really even know they should address it. So the kids got together and developed a program to help support each other in what would you say if somebody comes home and you're babysitting. So it was under the realm of an alcohol traffic safety, but really addressed the needs that our young kids have with driving home. And it could be with a parent as well. How are you going to speak up? What's your backup plan? Kind of thing. So those are the two that I think were kind of innovative, different, and worked well.
The thing that I want to really encourage you guys to do is to really read through the reviewer benchmarks and the application before you begin. This isn't really a difficult thing to do, but you need to think a little bit about what you want your plan to be. If your school district collects YRBS, youth risk behavior data, on an online survey, I want you to include some of that data in your reports. The people who read the grants after you guys write them, they're really looking for the data to support their plan. Here's another little piece of information that I've given to a lot of students who have written grants in my CISA. I used to write these grants with student groups, and I had an elementary school student group that wanted to build into their recess time play for all students. And they had noticed, they had done their own data collection, and they had noticed there were certain students who every day at recess played alone. And they thought that they would like to incorporate and include them in play. They knew that not all the other student groups on the playground would want to involve them. So they created a plan for that. And the quote that we used in our grant that I think made a big difference, one of the people that went around looking for who to play with at recess said to me, you know, Mrs. Zabel, recess is the loneliest time of day for some students. And that really made a difference for the grant readers. When they read that statement in the grant, they felt connected to the project. And the other thing is, don't include things in your budget just because it seems like that would be a cool thing to have. Like we want t-shirts, or we want to have a pizza party every Friday. You need to really make sure that the expenses that you have in your grant are going to be legitimate expenses to help promote your project.
Tip, and it has to do with your budget. Don't or try not to spend money on pencils, rulers, or t-shirts, because it doesn't always look that good on our grant budget when we read it. And here's the big tip on that. How do you get that stuff? Because you need it, and it's fun, and you like it. I say, go to some community agency or a community player in your area. And it could be your parent group at your school. It could be your local Lions Club, or maybe even a grocery store.
Mini grant project is something that starts with the students. The students really have to have ownership of it. And I think it's important that it target a lot of students, not just a couple of students or a small group, but a whole bunch of kids. It's really important to look at your data, not just come up with an idea that you think is going to work. That can be great, but you've got to have some data to support it. And don't forget to evaluate. Evaluate. Show us how successful your project was, and good luck.
That the funders look at when we're reading the mini grants is one-time events. So an example of that is bringing in a speaker to talk to your student population on a specific topic, whether it's alcohol, tobacco, whatever it is, but it's a speaker coming in. That we see as a one-time event. What we would look at to consider it not a one-time event is what can your student group do before that speaker comes and after the speaker comes in order to build on that message. So it's continuing before and after they're there to build upon it. That's something that the funders would look at. There's not a lot of evidence that shows that one-time events change behavior, and that's really what your student group wants to do, is how can we get other students making the choice that's the healthy choice and the positive choice? What can we do to influence their behavior?
Take a look at the grant benchmarks after you're done writing your grant. Pretend like you're a grant rater or reviewer, and go through those benchmarks and make sure that your application answers all those questions on the benchmarks.
The grants here at CISA, or I think at all the CISAs, we collect all the grants, everybody submits them, and then we have a small committee of a variety of people that read the grants, they write their comments on it, we use the benchmarks, we look at those closely, and we put together our own individual kind of scores. Then we meet as a group, and then together we all talk about each grant, the strengths, the weaknesses, and we put together kind of a final score when they're all compared against each other. And from that point on, we just make recommendations that then go to the DPI, where then they make the final decision.
So have fun with your ideas. Good luck.